Hey parents, last week we got to show you a few of the transitions that were happening, and we promised you a 4-part series introducing you to not only the structure but also the people that will be involved in your students' lives over this next season. So this week, as part 2, we'll be introducing you to a man named Steven Johnson, and I've got him here with us. Thanks for being here, Steven.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Glad to start talking about this.
I'm excited too. So we're going to be asking him a few questions about ministry, what he's done in the past, and what he'll be doing here. So let's go ahead and start that off with a few questions. And then Brian's going to play a little intro thing. Okay, ready for the first question?
Hit it.
Nick and Brandon do announcements.
All right, Steven. So you have had experience in a lot of different ministry settings. You grew up at this church.
Mhm.
You were in this youth program. You served in leadership with me here.
Mhm.
You also served at Forest Home, the camp that we go to, as their rec dean. You've also worked at Shadow Mountain. You've worked at Sweetwater Community Church and done a lot of different things at all those places. So my question is, what from all of those experiences has really changed and formed how you do youth ministry and what you care about in these settings?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that I learned through all the different experiences was the importance of involving the family in youth ministry. I think when I first got into ministry, I had this idea that it was the youth group's job to take the students and make sure that they walked out and was 100% on the youth group to send them home knowing Jesus and handling their relationship. And I learned through all the different places that I've been able to do ministry, that God's been able to use me, that when you don't involve parents in the ministry, then it becomes very difficult for the students to have lasting relationships with Jesus. And the key to students really understanding their faith and having a grasp on who Jesus is starts in the home. And our job as ministers to these students is to partner with the family as a whole to minister to these students.
Yeah. What about some of those places that you've worked and served has really kind of guided your view of that?
Having great parents show up when I was trying to do ministry on my own and tell me that they were going to be involved either way. And what I was able to see is when I'm connecting with those families, when the parents are involved in the ministry, that not only do the kids love it, but the kids are able to grow. And even the kids who their parents aren't there, they are able to see other parents and then go home and grab their parents and say, you need to get over here and get involved in this. And it's a really cool dynamic to see the families that are involved, and I've gotten to watch that just about every place that I've been able to do ministry.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And that's cool because that's too kind of some of the things that we've been trying to grow our group in, and a lot of our parents have been able to get involved. Thank you for that, parents. So anyways, that's awesome. What is it exactly that makes you passionate about students and their families in general? I mean, it takes a special person to want to work with youth and middle school students and high school students, and we have a big heart for them here. So what makes you passionate about students?
When I look back at my life, my testimony, I really struggled as a student to understand who Jesus was. I grew up in a Christian home, but I was getting kind of different views. My parents were divorced when I was about 4 years old, and I grew up with different aspects of faith, and I wasn't getting one coherent view of who Jesus was. And I started to really doubt God's love for me because I didn't have a clear picture of who Jesus was. I didn't have a clear understanding of his love for me. And I really doubted that and walked away from my faith as a student. When I was in 6th grade, I decided that I didn't need Jesus because I didn't feel like he cared or knew me or loved me at all. And through that, God was able to use the people that were in my life through youth ministry, men who just spoke into my life truth and wisdom and got to know my family and partner with them and just bring a lot of healing into different areas of my faith. And through the relationship that I was able to build with them as mentors in my life, I was able to see God for who he really was. And as a high school student in youth ministry here, God captured my heart again, and I rededicated my life to him. And about 2 years later, I felt him calling me into ministry and jumped at that chance. And that's when I started to get involved with the middle school students here. And it's been a roller coaster of just amazing experiences ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I've worked with you in the past, and it's been really cool to watch the way you've just taken the experiences that you've had and just really channeled them towards these students. And I feel like that's kind of the most important thing we can do in student ministry, is just to share what God's done in our lives with each other. So that's awesome. Another question. What is it, from what you've heard from kind of all of us that have given you reports and stuff, what are you most excited about that's already going on at CABC's youth groups?
Well, I've heard some really, really cool stories about some of the activities that the groups are getting involved in. One of the things that really jumped out to me is Team 56 and the way that they've been going and ministering to some of the elderly members of the church that aren't able to make it to the campus to experience church as frequently. And so the kids have just been going out and meeting them in their homes and hanging out with them and just bringing some community into their home for them. And to be a 5th and 6th grader already involved in that is something that I never had a chance to experience at that age. And it's incredibly exciting to watch that happen in the ministries here. And I can't wait to see where God continues to take that. Another thing that has just been fun to watch was just seeing the way that the ministries of this church are able to work together as one ministry. And I think in the modern church today, the attitude a lot of times is that there are these separate ministries that are doing their own ministry in different areas. And I feel like the attitude at College Ave is that we have one ministry, and it's the church as a whole. It's really exciting to be able to come on and be a part of that ministry and not feel like I'm coming in to take over a whole ministry, but just to come in and be one part of a ministry as a whole that God's doing in this church. And it's really exciting to see. So I don't think that I need to come in and make a ton of changes because the ministry is great. And I'm excited to just bring a fresh attitude in with seeing what God is able to do when you just step back and let him work and be a part of it. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in this next season here.
Yeah, totally. And that's like the biggest thing I'm excited about you too. It's just the fresh attitude, and you just bring an energy to the team, and you always have since I've worked with you. So just bring an energy to this team that I'm excited to see kind of what that can do for this group. And like you said, it's not about us, it's not about what we can do, but I just think God's going to use you in such awesome ways. So that's cool.
I can't wait.
All right, so that brings me to kind of my last question, which is, where are you right now? I mean, you're obviously not here, so what are you doing presently?
I'm currently finishing up my last couple weeks at Sweetwater Community Church. It's a small congregation down in Bonita, and I've been there for the past year as the youth director and have loved every second of being there. And it's been an amazing experience. God's just worked in tremendous ways, and I've gotten to be a part of it, and it's been amazing. But he's calling me back home to the church that I grew up in, and it's exciting. I can't wait for that. It was something that I had to put a lot of prayer and thought into, and when God first started calling me back here, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me wanting to come to my home church of 22 years. And I have no doubt in my mind that this is where God wants to use me. And so even though it's very difficult to leave the church that I'm at right now, I am beyond excited to come back home. I really feel like I am coming home.
That's awesome. We're talking to the parents right now. This is their video to watch and get to know you. So is there anything you would like to share with them in general as you kind of are moving forward and going to be getting to know them?
Absolutely. Parents, I just want you to know that I am on your side and that I would love to just partner with you as we minister to your students together. I genuinely believe that ministry does begin in the home. I just want you to know that my door is always open, my phone's always on. Please reach out to me. Let me know how I can partner with you best. If I'm doing something that you think isn't best to partner with the ministry you're doing at home, or you think that I could be doing better, please don't hesitate to let me know. Or if there's a way, if you want to just me to come over to your house for dinner, I would love to come meet you, hang out with you and your kids. I would love to partner with the ministry that you are already doing at home. So please feel free to keep me in the loop with how I can do that most effectively.
And I genuinely believe Steven means that with all of his heart. And the only reason he's not here now already doing that is because he's trying to finish well where he is and still serving them and giving a lot of time there. But he's here in his spare time to kind of try to get to know you guys. So as he steps in, I just encourage you to do exactly what he just said. Invite him over for dinner, go over to his house or something. I don't know, whatever you need to do to get to know Stephen and just kind of hear about his heart and how he wants to serve you guys and your kids. So thanks again, Stephen.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you guys soon.